One of the things I would like to say today is that for those kids out there who are about to go out into the world and start a career and start a family, is that I'm totally convinced that they're going to grow up and bring their children up in a world way better than ours. You know, in spite of global warming, in spite of terrorism, pollution, chemicals everywhere, in spite of everything, the world will be a better place. The challenge, I mean, that's down to science. And, you know, abundant water for everybody, abundant food, systems that sequester carbon, all that stuff exists now. The challenge is political, is to get it out there. But what kind of contribution can the design make to a better world? I think in the first instance it should consider undoing the damage it's done. Because I think modern architecture has let us down very badly from Second World War onwards. I mean, you can't really get the sense of that in Melbourne because Melbourne's a very nice city. But in London, all over Europe, you really know the harm it's done. So,
in what way?
I think the brutal, oppressive blandness of a lot of modern architecture is really damaging. I think it really is very depressing and injurious, really. I just think it's a good thing. And the self-righteous confidence with which it's done is kind of outrageous, really. It's not based on anything but fantasy. You know, you can design things where the function is self-evident and necessary and part of the elegance and beauty of it, but that doesn't really apply to tower blocks. There is no function that defined how they look. There is a kind of religiosity about the approach to it. The job of design is to make the human entry into the world as benign as possible. We have to build homes, we have to build roads, we have to build all kind of stuff. And that can make for a better world or not, depending on the quality of the work people do. And the jury's still out on whether we're doing a good job of it. You know, at the pinnacle of design, the work is great, and what people do is wonderful, and we can live with it. At the bottom end, it's unbelievably awful. So yes, design matters. It matters terribly, and getting it wrong really, really matters. I think one bad architect can do more harm than 1,000 bad graphic designers, and the opposite is true. You know, one good architect can do more good than that because of the sheer scale of what they do. I think anything that focuses attention on design is good. Design can be incredibly important and useful. It can be pretentious and self-righteous, of course it can. But that doesn't mean that's what it is. It just means that is what it can be. I think the more attention that's brought on the subject, the better. If you're training people and educating people in design, they may go out and be great designers. But even if they're not, the fact they've been educated into it is useful, is helpful. It's all a plus. We make stuff, we consume stuff, we recycle it, we remake it. The problem is not making stuff and consuming. The problem is designing bad stuff, and it doesn't matter if we design bad plates and cups and saucers, good, bad, it doesn't matter. It can be recycled and gone. The problem is the buildings, and I think that's really where we have to focus. We have to be tough about it. I mean, one of the tragedies in London is that these really bloody buildings they built in the 60s, and you think, oh God, thank God they're at their end of their life, and architects are rushing around everywhere slapping preservation orders on them, and you think, give me a break. Yeah. I do think, though, that if we as a species are dropped into paradise and we start building all our stuff, we stand a terrible chance of screwing up the world. And design is the tool with which we screw it up less. It offers a chance of human beings not being in conflict with nature and the world, but actually blending in and working alongside and accommodating the best of what's there. You know, in Chinese feng shui, the idea that humans are the guardians and gardeners of the world is a great idea. And I think we should be, all of us collectively, concerned with making the world a better place, with blending in with the world, with working with the world. And I think that's the responsibility of design, to make the world a better place. We don't need to assert with sort of brutal geometry that humans are here. I mean, the Greeks did it more elegantly, but their motivation was in this wilderness to say, you know, a human being made this. Well, now that wilderness is something we have to preserve. And making those sort of assertive statements with lumps of concrete is just not viable.